I'm lucky enough to own some actual cards from both the original and 2019 versions of Card Sharks, so I thought it would be fun to cook up a little video comparing and contrasting some of the details and differences between them. First, I'll mention the size of the cards. I'm aware that Jim Perry stated that they are 1 foot by 2 foot, but with all due respect to Jim and anyone else involved, that's incorrect. That would make them twice as tall as they are wide, and it's easy to see that is not the case, so I broke out the tape measure. I can definitively say that the original cards are 13 3/4 by 19 3/4, and that the new ones are 12 by 18. The originals were made with screen printing, with this small flaw as evidence of that, while the new ones were done digitally. You can see some slight pixelization on this close-up, and the ink is textured as can happen with toner. This may also explain the size difference. As I mentioned, the new cards are 12 by 18. A common cardstock size for digital presses is 13 by 19. As with the desktop printers we're all familiar with, presses cannot print directly to the edge of the sheet, so giving a half-inch margin on all 4 sides would allow for economical manufacture while allowing the print to go directly to the edge of the sheet by trimming the margins. On the old cards, the faces are actually separate sheets that were placed onto the cardstock prior to lamination, while the backs are printed directly on. My theory is that they printed tons of blanks and did lots of faces separately and stuck them onto the blanks via lamination. That would make sense, as it would allow damaged or missing cards to be replaced easily. With digital, making an entirely new card as a one-off would be just as easy as printing it the first time, so taking those separate steps would have been unnecessary. It doesn't show up well on video, but some of the cards are darker than others, which probably means they were printed at different times or perhaps come from different decks. An interesting detail is that there is a minor variation in the small and large suit symbols for clubs and spades. The original cards are a little bit warped, which I suppose you can expect for 45-year-old pieces of cardboard. You can see here that the originals are just a tiny bit thicker than the new ones. Here they are stacked on top of each other with a $50 for scale. The 2019 face cards seem to be based on a traditional design of the spade suit, where the original ones did have some variation to them, as you can see in this graphic. They are each fairly similar to one another, and the variations in simplified design would have been easy to achieve with screen printing. Here's a close look at the new face cards. The color scheme may not be elaborate, but the black and gold colors fit in nicely with the overall design of the show. The gold areas all have a gradient effect, which adds some depth and a sophisticated feel. It does look better than the camera is picking up. You can also see that the black suits are not actually black, but dark blue. I only have the Jack of Clubs from the old version, but let's take a close look at him, followed by the new ones. The logo on the back of the new ones has a detailed brush metallic effect. There are some quirks on the new cards that I'm going to highlight. This is not to say that they are flawed, rather that they are little details that make these cards a unique design. The symbols don't quite line up on the left side. There is some variation in the corner radiuses, perhaps they were trimmed at different times. The queens have a tiny inconsistency in their index fingers, and the kings are missing a thumbnail, perhaps lost in battle. There are some variations in size of the numbers, with the 10s, Qs, and Ks all being a bit smaller than the others. I hope you enjoyed this brief, deep dive into the cards of Card Sharks.